Renee,
Hello,
is there a meeting at 10 o'clock?
10:30.
That explains why you and I are almost the only ones here.
Yeah.
My apologies, I got the time wrong. I will sign out and sign back in at around 10:30.
All right, we'll see you then.
Okay then, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Are you still there, Renee?
I am still here.
Why can't I expand my screen to where I can see the leave meeting button? This is crazy. I can't leave the meeting because I can't expand my screen.
Oh, really? You can't scroll? Can you scroll or can you hit your view options at the top?
I hit view options at the top and all it says zoom ratio, fit to window, whatever. Should I one of those?
Yeah, go fit to window and you might be able to see it.
Oh, no, I can't even get that. I'm not even getting zoom ratio.
Huh.
Ah, can you cut me off? Are you able to just cut?
Well, if I boot you out, I can't get you back. You can't log back in.
Oh, sure I can. Not right away. I've done that before. I've left
Not
meetings.
if I boot you out. If I boot you out, you can't come back.
You'd have to send another invite, right?
I don't know. I haven't had to do that before.
This is so frustrating. Oh, okay, there it is.
I mean,
I got
can
it.
you?
I got it. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Okay, bye.
I'm out of here now.
outdoor meeting day, eh?
Yeah. Where will I find the agenda for this? Do you have one?
I can resend it to you.
Yeah, it's not on the council member site and it's not attached to the calendar invite.
Okay, I will resend it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was sent on May 28th, it looks like.
May 28th.
Yeah.
I'll go find it. Normally I'm good about saving it somewhere. Your stuff about conversion therapy was really good.
What was my stuff about conversion therapy?
Good. It's really good.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
The piece for the state of the city.
Oh, for this afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, for this afternoon. Yeah, it was good. If you want, I mean, it's not in the script. If you want, you can throw in something about the crosswalk too. And even, didn't we? I think this is the first time we've supplied funding for Pride events as well too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So if you want to ad lib it, that's fine.
Okay.
Because I don't think yours would take 2 minutes to read, would it?
No, I tried to stay on the low end of that. Nobody wants to watch a 10-minute video from counselor, 10 minutes of counselors if they can avoid it.
Okay, no, I still don't have it. What day was May 28th?
I can forward it to you.
Yeah, I still don't have it. Tuesday.
Mine's being weird. If you just type EMAC in your search bar, it should be one of the first things that pops up.
EMAC.
Yeah.
Oh, agenda, there we go. I went in emergency, that's probably why I didn't get it.
Ledge likes to trick us with their acronyms.
Yeah, June 4th, found it. Got it, thanks.
I just sent it to you too, so you'll have a couple
Okay,
copies.
Here comes Ken. Hey, Ken.
Good morning.
Long
Sorry.
day for you yesterday?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Very, very.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And I got to that public consultation with the Indigenous community was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
really good.
Yeah. What time did you join?
About quarter after.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I had just got home and had to put away a few things and then jumped on the meeting. Kevin, the mayor's given up your property for another teepee visit.
Yeah, because Ryan Arcand was on the consultation yesterday, and Ken wanted to do another, I don't know if a pipe ceremony, but another ceremony. And he said he could set it up in his backyard in what, like 10 minutes? I'm like, you can't set that thing up in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would trust Ryan to do it in 10 minutes. But then Bruce from Métis Nation said that he had seen something because I said it's got to be warm in there with the hot temperatures we've had over the last couple of days. And Bruce said he saw some now that have come with air conditioning. But
Well, not exactly air conditioning, airflow.
The traditional way.
Yeah. It was good.
But I just wanted to warn you, Kevin, the mayor did volunteer your property.
All right, I think it's 10:30. So why don't we get started? I will call our meeting to order. June 4th. Emergency Management Advisory Committee. I think we have Yes, we do. We have both Councillor Mackay and Councillor Jolly in attendance, so we have 100%. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Oh, I can do that. I'm unmuted. That the June 4th, 2021 Emergency Management Advisory Committee meeting meeting agenda be adopted as presented. Sorry.
Thank you. And we'll just do hand raising, and so call for the vote. So that's unanimous. And then the next thing on the agenda is the minutes from May 3rd. Okay. Anyone see any problems with the minutes? We're good. Okay, Natalie, do you want to make that motion?
Sure, that the May 3rd, 2021 Emergency Management Advisory Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
All right, call for the vote on that. That's unanimously passed. All right, so we have a few things on the agenda. The first one is a situation update. I'm assuming that's Percy. Going to take that one over. Thanks for joining us again, Percy. And thank you for all the work you've done over the last 16 months. Gotten to know you quite well. You could take it away.
You bet. We do have a bit of a PowerPoint for you on this. It's actually going to be the right through to the pretty much the end of what's going on there. So I'll just try and screen share here, and we'll get that up. I hope you can see that there now.
Yes, we can. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So really what we're here today to do is provide you a bit of a current situational update, EOC update, an overview of the Provincial Open for Summer plan, and information on the city's response to the plan, which includes recreation, culture, and masking. Diane, Inger, and Katrina are here to discuss their facilities and openings in their areas. And what I'm going to suggest is we break at different points along the way, because there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of slides, and I'm imagining you're going to have some questions as we kind of go along. So what I'll do is I'll do the situational update first, and then jump into different areas as we go along.
Is there a difference, Percy, between the situational update and the EOC update?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. We'll do them one at a time.
Yeah, you betcha. So really, this is about the federal context and situation. Alberta currently rank in the federal context at the rate of 143 per 100,000, and it's the second highest in the country, and it's above the federal average. Canadian active cases have been dropping with increased health measures implemented across provinces in the country. In Canada, 2,160,124 doses of vaccines have been delivered to the provinces and territories. 88.5% of those doses have been delivered, which means 59.279% of Canadians have received at least one dose, and 6.322% of Canadians are fully vaccinated. In early May, Canada's Public Health Agency offered guidelines to all provinces on vaccinations. And at that point in time, they said, once 75% of Canadians have had a single dose and 20% are fully vaccinated, some restrictions can be relaxed. They also said once 75% of those eligible are fully vaccinated in the fall, indoor sports and family gatherings can be allowed again. While Health Canada provides guidance to provinces and recommendations, it's really the province's responsibility for health and the decision-making on those processes. Active cases in the province, as you can see, have taken a steady decline in the third wave of the pandemic. And that's really been since the province initiated enhanced public health measures to reduce COVID-19. Additionally, vaccine supply has increased, and there has been significant uptake in vaccinations by the public. You know, the vaccination information in Alberta really looks positive. As of June 2nd, 2,888,005 doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Alberta. That means 64.6% of population 12 plus has received at least one dose of vaccine. And 11.3% of 12 plus year old of the population are now fully vaccinated. We as a city, we continue to have weekly meetings with the Zone Medical Officer of Health and the Chief Medical Officer of Health. And actually, we just had another one here just prior to this one that we've been added in on, which is helping clarify some of the information coming out on these changing measures that we're seeing in front of us. With this, though, health continues to indicate recommendations will be in place for masking, physical distancing, and staying home when sick. Sick will continue after we hit stage 3, so recommendations. There are concerns from health that continue to be expressed about COVID variants, and especially the Indian variant known as B1617, and other variants that remain threats. There are concerns about vaccine efficiency when having a single dose versus being fully expressed. And those have been expressed in the media, and initial doses show that those single doses not as effective in the case of that Indian variant. The province has announced their strategy for the second dose vaccinations though, and we'll see a shortening of timelines between first and second doses because of this announcement. This is expected to allow all of those who've had their first dose to receive their second dose by the end of summer. Yesterday in her media update, Dr. Hinshaw indicated that data clearly shows that vaccines are effective against our most common variant in our province. And specifically, she had data from Alberta on the mRNA vaccine, which is found to be 73% effective in first dose against the B117 variant, and with 2 doses, 91% effective. And the P1 variant, which is the Brazilian, is single dose effective 75%, and with 2 doses, 89%. The provincial public health orders continue to change, and we're currently now at order number 30 for this year. So, you know, we've had a lot of changes. Guidance documents like those added to the website yesterday to clarify stage 1, which commenced on Tuesday, show how items are being developed and changed in real time, which is affecting how our facilities and services can be opened. And you can see it's a very fluid with those pieces of information. In our meeting this morning with Dr. Hinshaw, she talked about us currently being in a transition period. And we're in a transition period between the pandemic and the endemic, as people are increasingly vaccinated, and we're moving towards having everybody in second doses, when at that point in time we'll be more into an endemic, treating it more not the same as the flu, but similar to the flu. So there will be lots of changes over this period, and you know, people are bound to have you know, concerns and anxiety over this time frame, and we need to make some allowances for those individuals as they go through these changes. The situation currently in St. Albert, and as you can see there on the screen, we're at the point of 53 active cases, which is down from the third wave peak, which was 279, and the overall peak of 391 active cases. There have been 2,880 cases of COVID attributed to St. Albert, including 45 deaths, unfortunately. There's a marked downward decline in active cases, as you can see in the graph. St. Albert residents are leaders in vaccination in the province since the province began publishing data by municipality. Of 300 22 municipalities reported on, St. Albert currently ranks as number 2 for first dose vaccination at 67.4%, and then ranks 10th place of those fully vaccinated with 14.9% fully vaccinated. Regionally, compared to others, when we're looking at cases per 100,000 from highest to lowest, Leduc County is at 136.13 per 100,000. Sturgeon County is 128.89. Then follows Edmonton at 112.9, Fort Saskatchewan at 110.89, Leduc at 107.19, Spruce Grove 100.72, Strathcona County at 81.45, Beaumont at 78.37, then St. Albert at 76.16, Parkland County is next at 68.97, and Stony Plain, the lowest of this group, at 39.67. So that's a good comparison, because it's kind of comparing that apples to apples with that 100,000 rate. And regionally, you can see that trend is downward as well visually in that slide. So that's the kind of the COVID situational update. And we'll get into the opening for summer a little later on. Any questions on this portion?
Councillor Jolly's shaking her head. Councillor Mackay shaking his head. So no, I think we're good. Keep going.
Okay. So for the EOC update, I really want to say that in the midst of the COVID, there was a significant event in St. Albert. And that's pretty apparent to everyone with the Citadel Mews fire. It was a significant fire involving a multi-agency response that resulted in evacuation of patients, which were residents plus staff. And there are a lot of thanks that need to go out and acknowledge the support received in the community on this. And that's really what I want to do with this update here. Within the community, there were a lot of emergent volunteers, and probably more so than we truly know about or would be aware of. And thanks needs to go out to them. Businesses and organizations reached out to support and provide goods or needs that may be required. The Christian group themselves did immense work there as well on site with their people. It definitely shows the community spirit within the community here. All these people and groups that were reached out and helped during this time. We had a number of municipal partners reach out to and provide support as well, and some through mutual aid. In our fire response, we received support from Edmonton Fire, Strathcona Fire Emergency Services, Spruce Grove, and Morinville. Those departments all came out and supported our city's fire crews and in this response. Transit support also occurred, as there was 3 waves of transport: the initial to the reception center, then people to long-term care, and then transferring individuals back into Citadel Mews. And transit support included, obviously, our St. Albert Transit, Strathcona, Leduc, Ironwood Estates, St. Albert Seniors Association, Uville Home, AHS and their partners, and Christensen Group. There were provincial agencies involved as well. The Provincial Emergency Social Services had 5 members at St. Albert Inn, helping with registration and bringing people in. Alberta Emergency Management Agency had one of their field officers first at the EOC, helping providing support here with us, and then he moved to St. Albert Inn. Alberta Health Services had a staff member on site at our emergency operations center. And they also did a bunch of work in the background on their end. The EOC and ESS, Emergency Operations Center and Emergency Social Services, had a number of staff from the city respond. And this was an after-hour call that resulted in 40 staff for the Emergency Operations Center and 8 staff for Emergency Social Services, responding to virtually a page and showing up to provide support. Staff remained working on the file until 7 p.m. at the next day. There were 2 shifts of staff operating on the event, which was obviously overlying COVID. There was also a third quasi shift that happened a little later on, which was dealt with the return of people to Citadel that spanned over a 4-day period. And this was done with in conjunction with their regular duties and was supported outside of the EOC through transit to get those people back. In a lot of cases, these are unsung individuals who make sure our first responders can do what they need to do and help to look after all the other needs associated with the incident. And obviously, there's the first responders within our community themselves too that need to be thanked. Our fire services staff, our RCMP members who were dealing with the incident. Also, we had RCMP within the Emergency Operations Center as well. We had our public works staff and utilities as staff as responders as well. I'm sure there's more than that, but everybody who was involved in this response needs to be thanked. This is what makes this a great community and to be part of. And I think that's really important to say. Do you have any questions on this part?
I have no questions, Ken, Natalie.
No, I don't have any questions, just other than to say thank you, Percy, for acknowledging it and bringing it out. And I can't add anything more other than to say I 100% support all of your comments.
Yep. I'll echo that as well. So
I do have one question. I'd echo it as well, Percy. Your guys did an amazing job. My question, it's having to do with the EOC, not about anything that was presented, so bear with me. We heard that one of the things it's being considered is the 24-hour noise bylaw exemption. Has there been any discussion on lifting that, or?
In terms of things with the noise bylaw, we've started initial discussions on that with the Emergency Operations Center and executive leadership, and maybe Kevin could add some information to that question here, but we're definitely considering that.
Thank you.
Well, if Kevin doesn't jump in here, I've been involved in the discussions as well, and we're looking at the matching the provincial restrictions. As the provincial restrictions lift, this would lift with it. So probably if we are into back to as normal as possible at late June or early July, those bylaws or exemptions would be lifted at that time, is what we're looking at right now.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Provincial plan opening, let's go.
So, there's a lot of detail that we could go into this. You've all heard through the media, and it's all publicly available. Essentially, the Alberta's Open for Summer plan includes 3 stages based on vaccination thresholds and hospitalizations. Stage 1 which we're currently in, was 2 weeks after 50% of Albertans age 12 plus have received at least one dose of the vaccine. And COVID-19 hospitalizations are below 800 and declining. Stage 2, which is 2 weeks after 60% of Albertans age 12 plus have received at least one dose of a vaccine, and COVID-19 hospitalizations are below 500 and declining. We hit that threshold, and it's on target and continues to be on target for that being at June 10th. Stage 3 is 2 weeks after 70% of Albertans age 12 plus have received at least one dose of vaccination. And that's been discussed as potentially happening as early as June 28th, but that also depends upon vaccination uptake within the province. And that's the general overview for this. Did you have specific questions on the opening plan itself from the province?
I don't. I mean, everybody's been paying pretty close attention to it. Councillor Jelly, Councillor Mackay? Okay, we're good.
So really, where we're at here is we're trying to deal with the open for summer plan and provide a staged reopening, focusing on facilities and opening those facilities for use prior to enhanced facility services. You know, services obviously will be implemented basic to enhanced, and that allows timing for staff to be rehired, allows transition times to review orders, and we kind of indicated some of those challenges we have had over throughout this whole with COVID. Openings would be on assumptions in some cases with the information. If we're doing that before the orders are fully out. So we expect this to be fluid and dynamic as we respond to those changes. Reopening principles that we first presented back in June last year are still remain the guiding principles that we're working on, which is outdoors will be prioritized over indoors to the extent feasible, and facilities will be brought back when they are ready, using cost recovery to the extent possible, and identifying what regional partners are doing and considering the impacts of our decisions. Also, where possible, prioritizing reopenings to meet the demand of user groups, and impacts to service levels and resource capacity will be considered. And finally, identify organizational risks and responsibilities. So those are those reopening principles we're following. At this point, I'd like to pass the conversation on to Diane Anger surrounding recreation facilities.
Thanks, Percy. Good morning. So I will be speaking to recreation facility openings and our services and program offerings. As we know through stage 1, 2, and 3, as best we know today, as Percy has pointed out, we still have a lot of details to hear on stage 2 and 3. So we're presenting what we know today. I have 3 slides I'm going to be going through, and then I also have Kelly McConnell and Danielle Pablabny who are with us today who will help to answer any questions. So I wanted to start first with our recreation facility openings. So I wanted to say that basically we're looking at a planned staged approach that will align with provincial orders, staff resources and facility readiness to open, as well as community group and public readiness to return to activities. So, and as I said, we are really still seeking clarity on some of the orders. What we've shared with you today is a bit of a summary chart. So what the chart is representing is our recreation facilities. The white represents that it is closed, blue, light blue, partially open, and a darker blue, fully open. And I'll run through high level what our plans are for each stage of these facility openings. So for Service Place, of course, it remains closed during stage 1 because no indoor facilities, recreation facilities are open at this point. In stage 2, it will be, we're planning to hear that June 10th, we will be able to enter into stage 2. If that announcement does come forward, we're prepared on June 10th to open our arenas and our fields and our gymnasium at Service Place for booked sport partner use specifically. Then we're fully ready to open Service Place on June 14th, which will be our fitness center and any of our other spaces. That again, it would be a very structured opening, similar to what we had in the fall, where there is still distancing, there is still group sizes, and in some cases, reservation or bookings required. We believe we can move to more of a drop-in fitness opportunity, and we're just getting clarity around that. We're hoping that by stage 3, we will be open fully, and we're hoping for a full opening throughout the summer of all of our facilities at Service Place. Of course, Landrex Water Play Center is having a refurbishment in the midst of a very large refurbishment with the plan to open mid-August with our water park. Fountain Park, again, indoor facility, so remains closed during stage 1. Very similar to our opening last fall, which would be stage 2, which is with some restrictions, but we will be able to open on June 14th with limited capacities and with scheduled use. Again, we're hoping that with Fountain Park, as we move to stage 3, that facility will be ready to offer full services and programs based on the date of the stage 3 opening and understanding any other restrictions that may be in place at that time. Grosvenor Pool, so we are working hard to get that facility open as quickly as possible, and we're targeting the June 14th date as well for that opening. As restrictions ease through the stage 2 and potentially stage 3, it could look to open up capacities within Grosvenor and potentially more capacity within locker rooms and more service offerings. Woodlands Water Play Park has been open since the May long weekend to a very, I would say, strong response from the community. People have been really great in terms of taking their term there and allowing, sort of a 2-hour stay so that people can rotate through. We plan to have the facility open until September long weekend. And as restrictions lift, we're hoping that we can increase capacities over there and at some point open up locker rooms and those kinds of things. We'll be opening up, we did open on June 1st, our artificial turf facility for booked use. So again, for our sport groups. As restrictions lift, we'll hope to ease some access to locker rooms over there, as well as also our artificial turf and our ball diamonds are open for bookings as well as of June 1st. Our outdoor rec amenities, these have been our staple through all of COVID, and they remain open with, again, some restrictions. So skate park, boat docks, playgrounds, there still are some restrictions. And again, as stage 2 and 3 come into play, we're hoping that we can ease some of those restrictions and then just potentially offer more capacity and adjust as we know what those lifted restrictions are. And again, like Kinnex arenas, so again, stage 1, they're closed, but stage 2, they could open, but right now we're just measuring user demand. We believe we probably will open them in midsummer, August, as demand is required. We'll fill the ice over at Service Place first before we open up again with Kinnex, again, based on need. So a next piece of information is around.
Can I just ask a quick question about Aginlan and Kinnex?
Sure.
Okay, I'm assuming she said yes. So with Aginlan,
I'm not used to being muted.
Yeah.
Sorry,
With Aginlan and Kinnex, I'm curious about. I understand the ice demand, but I'm used to my kids being in there for summer camps. So is that not something that we're offering this year?
We're going to get to talking about our summer camps. So we will offer our summer camps mostly outdoor to start with. We're still getting clarity on indoor. Okay. If there is demand and need, so also we have again the Kinnex open for dry floor as well in the summer sometime for lacrosse. So our staff are working really hard to understand our sport partner needs and when they'll need facilities to come online. So if we need again the Kinnex earlier in the season, we will open it earlier. But we're anticipating right now with the space we have at Service that we won't need to open it until we put the ice back in. And
so that's about demand, not about COVID. Okay, thank you.
All right, moving to recreation programming and services. Next slide, please, Percy. So this talks a little bit about the kinds of things that we're able to do during stage 1, 2, and 3. So again, we are still seeking some clarity, but we are planning for to move forward with our openings fairly similar to how we closed last fall. So some of the activity areas going through with fitness. So currently right now we continue to offer virtual and outdoor fitness programming as per allowable on stage 1. In stage 2, we will be able to open the fitness center at Service Place to 1/3 of fire code capacities. Also with group fitness, groups of 10 with distancing required as well. No locker room accesses yet, but we'll hope that we are moving towards our full program and services offering for throughout the summer, and for September 1st, that we'll be able to offer all of our previous fitness programs and services beginning then. Same with with recreation programming. Right now we have the roaming rec crew, which is out in our parks. And then for stage 2, we are going to do some outdoor fitness camps. We're still seeking clarity on indoor day camps, and we understand some guidance is coming shortly on that. We are preparing for some indoor camps, but we'll wait and see what the guidance says. And also spontaneous use in our at Service Place. We're seeking what that might look like, whether it has to be reservation and booked, or whether we can go back to what we had enjoyed before, where people could drop in. So we're assuming that over the course of the summer, though, as restrictions ease, we will again be able to get back to our full service and program offering for September 1st. Within aquatics, currently none of our aquatics facilities are open yet, so there's no service offering there. When we open stage 2, June 14th, Fountain Park will be able to open to reserved, so spontaneous activities with reservations. So lane swimming with physical distancing, exercise and wellness activities, aquafit for our indoor pool, drop-in swimming with physical distancing. So again, where you can reserve online, come as a family, as long as you're distance, we can have several families within the pool at the same time. So very similar to how we were working last fall. And again, as restrictions lift, Fountain Park will be ready to ease right into a full operation. We are planning for swim lessons starting mid-July. So we're, and then again, as we're waiting for some more understanding and guidance around swim lessons, and we will increase our capacity as restrictions ease and we can bring more people into the facility. Our facility bookings, which is all of our outdoor or our indoor recreation facilities. This is right now, again, we can book our fields. So those are groups of 10, no spectators permitted right now. As we move to June 10th and go indoors, we again will align to provincial announcement of stage 2 when that happens. Easing of restrictions has included, which is very exciting for our sport groups, an opportunity to return back to games and play. So no cohorting, no distancing when you are on the field of play. So what that means is if you're coming to play hockey in our arenas, you can come and actually play the game of hockey. You can share equipment. You don't have to distance. Once you leave that arena or that field of play, you do need to mask up and you need to exit the building. So we're spectators are as minimal spectators, and they don't want, again, any lingering. It's come in, do your activity and leave for stage 2. And then again, hopefully as restrictions lift for the fall, we'll be able to see more normal use of our facilities as we have in the past. For our commercial services and food and beverage, we are in alignment with our facility openings. So happy to see our concession at the water park is open in alignment with that facility being open. And then as our indoor facilities open, our food and beverage will open up in alignment with facility use. So we're hoping that this phased approach and returning to more fuller operations throughout the summer and into the fall will be a really welcome for our community. And I know our staff are eager to be able to provide all of our programs and services as we have in the past. But we will we still need some more information to understand specifically what stage 2 and 3 mean. And we will quickly align to what those are so we can offer as much as we can, as quickly as we can to the community. Our staff are being recalled right now and facilities are readied. So it's just a matter of getting the announcements from the province and then moving forward. So my last slide is about events. Just wanted to give you a quick recap on some events. So as I mentioned, I think it was our last meeting about Canada Day. We're still planning for a similar offering, a drive-in movie at Real Park. Fireworks, we are ready to go with fireworks. It's just pending against provincial orders and us understanding what exactly we can do with fireworks, but we are all lined up for that. We'll have roaming activities and performances throughout the parks and a virtual regional Canada Day activity guide. And of course, our mayor's doing a bit of a video as well for that. And then we, as you all know, we have over 100 community-led events a year. And I know our community organizations are really looking forward to getting back into events. Right now, everyone is just assessing the feasibility of events, understanding what restrictions mean. So our event staff are working really closely with any organizations that are looking at events, so we can see what can be provided as the stages are announced. So that completes the presentation, but we're really happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councillor Mackay.
Yeah, thanks, Diane. I really appreciate the update, and you're doing as much as you possibly can with the information that's available, and that's kind of been the way it's always been. So I just want to say kudos to you and your group. I'm glad you mentioned that you are hiring back staff. Are you hiring back in anticipation of moving to stage 3, or are you just moving forward through to stage 2, prepping and then moving into 3, or are you just kind of going, well, let's just make sure we're ready for stage 3, because I imagine that will be really a landslide when it happens.
Thanks for the question, Councilor Mackay. We are doing a very strategic and planned approach. We have been in consultation or in contact with a lot of our staff. Some were, so we are ready. We have several staff ready to begin right away. We are looking right now what we would need for stage 3, because especially in the aquatics realm, there are a lot of lifeguards and instructors to bring back. So our aquatics manager is working diligently in terms of starting to prep for all of that. So we are hoping to be in alignment that when we are able to open, that our staff will all be in place, trained and ready to go.
And how are we doing on recruitment, and are we finding it difficult to bring back staff? I.e., have they moved on to other jobs or maybe even other communities? How are we doing with that? Or is it just too early to tell?
So over the last 15, 16 months, as we've opened and closed, our staff, we've never had any issues bringing staff back or having the capacity in our staff to come back. But as we move to full stage 3, what we're hearing right now is we're seeing some positive. We may need to recruit some new staff, but we are already working on what that might look like and preparing for it. So we have a really strong core of staff that are looking to come back as soon as we can bring them back. So right now at this point, it still is early days, but we have not, don't have any sort of red flags that this is going to be a concern at this point.
Okay, that's really good to hear. Capacity issues in relation to anticipated community groups trying to book facilities, book time. Are we up to speed on that so that they don't have any delay, or there's not any, exceptional circumstances we can handle their requests?
I will pass this over to Danielle and ask Danielle to address that. Her team have been meeting with all of their sport partners and getting a good sense of where they're at.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. So we have been in touch with all of our local sport partners and those that have booked our facilities at this point. So we continue to update our booking schedule in alignment with what their needs are at this time. A lot of our groups are still trying to figure out what kind of their future looks like and understand the restrictions in alignment with their program. We have some spring users who are determining whether to go forward with their spring program or to cancel their their interim season. So we just continue to work with them. At this point, it looks like our available facilities are going to be mobilized and ready to serve our community as their needs are determined as they go forward. So we should have sufficient space, and our infrastructure team is preparing all our spaces and bringing staff back in alignment to get those ready as soon as the orders are lifted and we have direction to open.
Okay, I mean, interesting, and you may not know this, but I'm wondering, have you heard back from your sport partners or our sport partners as to whether or not they are planning full summer events, i.e. baseball, soccer, football? Or are they just waiting for provincial regulations as well?
Each group, Councilor Mackay, is a little bit different. So I think they're all kind of working within their reality. A lot of our sport associations are trying to find a way to modify their operations for this year. The announcement that they can do games and practices and that kind of thing is a little bit new to them. So I think they're just figuring out how that works. Some of them are part of a bigger league and may or may not be able to enact that. But most of our associations have some kind of modified format that they're going to go forward with this year. So St. Albert Minor Baseball, St. Albert Soccer, our summer users, as well as some of our winter users, are going to bring some sporadic use into our facilities as well and extend their seasons accordingly.
How are we doing on Fowler Park? That's kind of a oddball question, but it looks, I drive by it frequently. How's that coming along?
It's coming along very nicely. We're really happy with the construction stage it's at. Everything is, it is quite an overhaul right now. So I think we're going to see you're starting to see a track form, and it's starting to look more like a track again. So in the next couple of months, we should see some really nice progress on that project, and everything's going along swimmingly so far.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate the answers.
Yeah, no problem.
I have some questions about some traditional events, and I'll just throw them out. Maybe you guys have talked to the organizers. I was thinking Rock in August. I know they initially planned for something toned down, but I'm wondering if they can have you talked to them? Are they going to plan on ramping it back up?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Heron. We've been in consultation as well with all of our event organizers. So those that had to cancel for the spring, some are planning to do maybe a modified event in the summer or fall. So as each group wants to work through that process, we're asking them to submit a new event application to us. And then we work with them through the COVID restrictions at the time, and we work with EOC in terms of the planning. So we have just started with the latest provincial announcement that more restrictions should ease through the summer, just started to see some groups come back and have some initial discussions with us. So we certainly are keeping in the know with groups like Rock in August, Pride Festival, those kinds of things, and Out Loud. So we'll be working with all of those groups as they come back to maybe offer another event this summer or later into the fall.
Okay. Awesome. And I don't know if probably Danielle and Diane, you probably can't answer this, but maybe Kevin, or if Kevin's mic is working, or Percy, what about the farmers market? I mean, we had a lot of plans in place to help them open up downtown that would keep everyone safe, including all the fencing. So phase 3, it sounds like we don't need any of that. So how's planning of the farmers market?
Well, planning was underway for the restrictions of the time. I think the first couple weeks of the market will be in phase 2 or stage 2, so there is still some restrictions. And then it should be more of a normal market, I guess you could say, once stage 3 is being lifted there. So achieved. So yes, we're in regular contact with them. We've been working on the contract and all the logistics, but of course, we're changing some of those now.
Probably should save a bunch of money there. Councillor Jolly, any questions from you?
Yeah, just a couple. My first question is probably a bit loaded, but do we have any sense that the province will let us know the details of stage 2 before June 15th or 15th? Or
Yeah, it is a loaded question. I'm not.
I know what it's been in the past, but I mean, if they have details ready, it'd be great to know.
They're working on guidance documents, is what we've been told, and it's likely to be kind of real time once again. Here's the reality: the order changes, even like this last order change with with stage 1, the order was posted on the website on the Sunday. So the restrictions for the change in restrictions for churches were in effect effective Friday. So worship places. So the pattern is it's day of or a day or two later for the orders, and that's the legal requirements that kind of guide what everything the whole framework.
So are we expecting there to be a press conference that says that we can open on the 14th, but not actually having the order to allow us to open until after that? Is that?
For stage 2, the 10th, we would expect the kind of we'd expect a press conference before. And if we're opening on the 14th and the 10th holds true as the date, we probably would see the order in that time frame before, so we'd get a good sense of where we're at. And if we need to make some adjustments and that sort of thing, we should be able to make some of those adjustments.
Okay, so we're kind of expecting it between the 10th and the 13th.
It's a great question, Councillor Jolly. And before you move on, I don't know if Percy or me, I see David online, maybe just for the public to explain what those orders are and the difference between the press conference that Kenny and Hinshaw do, and then the date and then the order. So David, I think, we hear all the time, well, Kenny said we could do this today, but in reality, we don't know what we can do until we see the details. I don't know if you can explain that a bit better than I just did.
Well, yeah, I can, I think, through the chair to all members of the committee. It's really about rule of law is really what it is. We live in a society that respects and actually runs on the rule of law. A politician's press conference is not a law. It has no legal significance whatsoever. Only an order that is authorized by an act of the legislature, which any of Dr. Hinshaw's orders are so authorized, only that changes the law. So, I hate to say it, but we've become, and Percy actually has already said it, so I'm not breaking new ground. We've become accustomed to the province making announcements in advance of actually changing the law. And it's unfortunate, but we have to respect the rule of law. We really don't have any other choice. So, you can say, I guess, that a press conference is kind of a useful foreshadowing of what's going to happen, but it doesn't become effective legally until it actually does happen, and it doesn't actually happen until Dr. Hinshaw issues an order. Does that help?
Yeah, and one order changes the previous order because we're operating under an order. Pardon?
Yeah, not necessarily, but
Okay.
in many cases, you read the orders and you see that they put in new things, and they also specifically rescind all or part of a previous order. So it makes it kind of complicated to follow the thread of where the law is at any given time, but we just have to do the best we can and try to roll with the punches.
So from a team effort approach, when those orders come out, David, you and or Marta have to go through them and then provide advice to Percy and Diane. Like, the legal department has to be involved with all of this.
We jump on them right away.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and if it's nothing that has any significance to operations, we may or may not communicate with Percy. If it does, we are definitely in communication with him, and then let him disseminate what we say throughout the organization. Yeah, it's just part of the routine we've come to expect now.
Okay. And did I hear 30 odd orders already since the pandemic started?
I think it's 34, is it not, Percy? No, not since that's this year. That's in addition to the 60 or 70 or so last year.
Oh my goodness.
We've had to deal with literally 100 different orders, coming out at various times. Some of them new, some of them changing previous orders. I keep a spreadsheet of what's in force at any given time because I have to. Otherwise, you can't keep it all in your head. I have no idea how the general public would do that.
I know. Well, we appreciate it. I just wanted to kind of get that out in the public, how much time this is taking you and Percy and the rec staff and Kevin and Carrie, because we provide the three of us through the Emergency Management Advisory Committee an update once in a while, but I know there's so much going on in the background and it's very confusing. So you're right, the public is confused. So, all right, that's all I had. Sorry, Natalie, I cut you off on questions. Go ahead.
I bet Mr. Lafleur did not expect to be refreshing a website to look at an order when he went to law school. It's part of his job.
Not every day, no.
My last question is a really easy one. So I understand that we won't be offering lessons at Fountain Park until tentatively mid-July. Is there an opportunity to offer them earlier at Grosvenor? Or are we doing that?
Thanks, Councillor Jolly. I'll ask Kelly McConnell to answer that question, please.
Thanks for the question. Again, at stage 2, our plan is not to offer any lessons at Grosvenor because it would be so restricted, but we will be looking to offer some lessons at Fountain Park later on. It will depend on what restrictions we see coming down the road.
Thank you, and that's all I had.
Looking forward to the drive-in movie. That'll be fun. All right, is that all we have for events? Councillor Mackay, you're good? Okay. Okay, now the big one, the mask bylaw.
Actually, we've got a little bit more to go with.
Okay.
Katrina's going to join us here.
Hello, Katrina.
Hello, thank you, Council. So I have 2 slides. One will be talking about cultural facilities, and then the second one about community services programming. And Elizabeth Wilkie is also here to answer any additional questions. So as far as cultural facility openings, we have 4. In stage 1, we only have the Visual Arts Studio open right now, and that is independent and distance guild use by members. The others are closed during stage 1. In stage 2, we are looking for the Visual Arts Studio to bookings would be including guild, public, and AHF use, but following the guidelines, we would need 1/3 fire code capacity. That would be the maximum would be allowed in. And just like recreation, of course, all of our reopening are being planned with and aligning with provincial orders, facility readiness, and of course, community and public readiness to participate in in-person activities. The lobby and plaza in stage 2 as well. Outdoor up to 20 distance would be allowed. Indoor is also restricted due to public health orders. And Arden Theatre, same thing, 1/3 of capacity, fire code capacity is allowed in there. And City Art Space, the way our programming is working right now, during what we anticipate will be stage 2, there is actually no programming scheduled virtually or in person. And so when our programming starts again in July, it makes sense to just hook into what we anticipate will be stage 3. So next slide, please. Thank you. So programming. So we have bookings as well as performing arts programming and professional programming that we do in our facilities. And so bookings, again, we can start taking bookings in stage 2 for Arden Theatre and St. Albert Place Plaza and Lobby, following provincial health restrictions, of course, and that is restricted use and masking indoors at that time and distancing. And then in stage 3, we anticipate we can open up. Visual Arts Studios, as I mentioned earlier, AHF and others can start booking in stage 2. And stage 3, we can accept full bookings for those. For BAMs, that's Building Asset and Memories with run through FCSS, and it's a youth group. And I have to tell you, they've been chomping at the bit to meet in person. It's been really, really a struggle for our youth to meet virtually during this time. So we are looking at stage 2 being able to have outdoor meetings with up to 20 youth distance. And we will also provide virtual opportunities for those youth who are not comfortable yet meeting in person. And then by stage 3, we should be able to hold more regular in-person meetings, again, following all the orders that we may or may not receive and guidelines by then. Neighborhood block parties, we're suggesting that we make sure that we prepare and talk to our partners who also supply food. We know there's road closures, so we really want to make sure that we're ready and that they are safe when we go ahead. So we're anticipating those will begin again in stage 3. Performing arts programming, we have a natural break coming in mid-June. Programming doesn't start again until July, so we will be offering mixed opportunities there. We found last time when we opened up that we did have a number of families who still wanted access to online. So we will still be offering that option for people. And then when we're looking at the professional programming, so getting in music, spoken word, all of those wonderful things that our community has been missing so much. We're anticipating stage 2. We need to, of course, have time to book artists as well as promote those. And so we'll be heavily open in stage 3. And I'm short and sweet because I know we're going a little bit over. So that's my portion of presentation. And I'm happy to hear questions.
All right, thank you. Councillor Mackay, Councillor Jolly, any questions? I think everyone's chomping at the bit, Katrina, to meet in person. So not just the youth. So, all right, so no questions on this one. Thanks for this slide. It was, I like that format with the shading. It's very helpful. Hopefully we can get that on the website even. So now should we move on to masks?
Absolutely. So a little bit of background, I guess, with face covering bylaw. Currently, really where we're at is when the province has launched the Open for Summer plan. Premier Kenny indicated that stage 3 mandatory masking will no longer be required. In municipal meetings with Dr. Hinshaw, there's been indications that we will be moving from legal requirements at that point in time to recommendations. So some of the recommendations will remain in place. You know, the masking for individuals who want to mask, physical distancing, and staying home when sick. Those kind of are the key 3 ones that have been there throughout. Currently, the City of St. Albert's face covering bylaw is suspended while provincial legislated masking requirements are in place. The timing of changes to wherein stage 3 will occur, there is some uncertainty, and it's a lot's dependent on stage 2 progress, which we're seeing, and it looks like it's going to be going ahead, and vaccination rates. Those are all variables that can affect that time. So, consequently, administration is planning to bring a bylaw amendment to council, asking council to consider repealing the bylaw when the CMOH removes her mandatory indoor masking requirements. And that's it for this slide. Any questions?
Councillor Mackay, Councillor Jolly?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, Councillor Jolly?
Sort of. So in city facilities, is there kind of going to be any rules around kind of masking if you're sick, or is this like once it's gone, and people can kind of come in and have colds again? Or I'm curious how that works.
Well, number one, there'll be guidance, the provincial guidance in place. There'll be staff rules and guidance for city staff, quite definitely. Some of the improvement enhancements that we've done in the facilities, that some of the barriers that are in place and those sorts of things will remain in place, and that they'll based on the provincial guidance, those messages on the guidance will also be there for individuals. What it is it's a change from kind of that legislated requirement to recommendations on the province's part.
Or Councillor Hiltz? Mr. Hiltz?
What I'd like to just add to further what Percy was discussing is that, if someone feels comfortable wearing a mask even after the bylaw comes out of place, they'll be welcome to do so, and in the workplace. And we're going to really stress with our staff to be respectful of each other, because everyone's going to be coming at this from a different perspective.
I have a feeling there'll be a large segment of our population that will wear masks in the long term for a long time. But Councillor Jolly, any more?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Any signage about recommendations and education around masks after it's no longer mandatory?
We're anticipating the province to provide some of those pieces as well, and we would kind of mimic that path.
Okay. Councillor Hughes, I see you're here online. Your camera's on. I'm just as an elected official, you're welcome to ask any questions if you have any.
No, it's been good. I just wanted to hear everything that had to be said, and you guys are asking good questions. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so this is on the agenda for June 8th. Is that correct? I should know this. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we'll probably have a bigger conversation about it with all of council on the 8th, because I see no more questions. And so is that everything, Mr. Scoble?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need a motion from this committee to recommend that bylaw change, or
I don't believe so. No, it was just here for I guess for information and for a preview for the public that this will be a discussion next week.
Okay. All right. All right. That is it. Then I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.